Hey everybody, this week we are reading Mother of Invention by Nnedi Okorafor. I found this story when I was reviewing Future Tense Fiction, which was a collection that's published by Arizona State University in collaboration with Slate Magazine. You'll see that we have the story linked to Slate Magazine through D2L. I really was impressed by this particular story because it was fascinating the ways that Okorafor thought about how AI might become part of our lives in the future. If you think back to the beginning of the course, one of the first questions I ask you on the Who Are You post, that discussion board, is about the future of AI and what you thought about it. And when I read this story, a few things stood out to me. First, she imagines AI interacting with us in a way that still relies on human communication, speech, and primarily speech. And Woolley speaks to OB3. She maintains an imperfection. The fact that when we work with our machines, our computers, our phones, there are always minor imperfections, little struggles that come up. And she portrays this primarily through OB3's difficulty with word recognition sometimes. Playing a song when Woolley doesn't want the house to do that. What's really fascinating, though, is that even in the context of these imperfections, she still imagines the house as being an extension of the occupant. And if we think about our own living spaces, that's kind of true, right? Like the room that we sleep in is an extension of us, and if we have a whole apartment or house, then that becomes an extension of us. We put the things that we like where they go, and we have patterns of living that are, sort of dictated by our living space. And OB3 is the same in the sense that Woolley lives in this house, except that the house also has an intelligence that our houses don't. And it is built and designed to do certain things. So even though its speech recognition may not be great, its programming to take care of the resident, to protect and preserve the resident of the house is pretty advanced. And Woolley's ex-fiance Bayo may be a jerk for, not telling her that he was married in the first place, but he was a pretty good programmer of a smart home insofar as this house protects Woolley, but it also protects her baby, which is, of course, Bayo's baby as well. So the way that Okorafor thought about AI stood out to me and was something that I really enjoyed with this story. The other thing that kind of caught my eye when I was reading the story was that it's set in Nigeria. And I don't encounter too many science fiction stories that are set in Africa. So I started, looking her up and learning a little bit more about the author. I read one of her other books, part of her Bindi series, which was pretty fun. It was a good book. I think if I remember correctly that her daughter came up with the story and then she novelized it, which is a great way to write young adult fiction. But anyways, I started looking into Okorafor's work and her ideas, and she describes her style of writing as something she calls African futurism. So if you look up Afrofuturism, this is something that's been around for a while. It's science fiction, futuristic writing that contains plots that center basically around characters of African descent. The characters don't generally live in Africa. In African futurism, Okorafor is imagining what the future of Africa will look like. And so the stories are set there, and the cultures that exist there now are the cultures that evolve into the future that she depicts. So I found that really fascinating, and it was an interesting element to the story that made me, think more deeply about where science fiction takes place, how the settings get chosen, how the characters get chosen, and maybe which populations we overlook when we use science fiction to try to predict the future. So I hope you enjoy this story. I hope that you use it as a place to get into Nnedi Okorafor's work and maybe Future Tense Fiction series on Slate. You might find some more stories on there you're interested in as well.